The mediocrity has gone so bad that the people have now come to accept that you have to be mediocre. Look, if I'm a senator tomorrow, give me my salary, give me my benefits. I'm not hypocritical, but it stops there. The money that goes to my constituency is not my business. The only time is my business is to manage it and ensure that it reaches the people. I am not going to even be a signatory to the constituency account. It's not easy to deceive 200 million people. It's not easy at all. When something comes to the public, you can't take it back. Of recent, we saw a minister refusing to say how much a kilometer of road is. And I don't want to be specific. Refusing to say how much a kilometer of road is, because if he says it, it sounds ridiculous. So there is no time that keeping it secret is better than bringing it out. Okay, I think the chances will depend on the number of issues, right? If the right thing is done, which is that the people get to decide, and apart from that, the people know the power that they have, then I'm not in doubt that I'm going to win it. If the people know the power that they have, that is why the whole idea of my coming out is to fight, is to tell the people that, okay, you can actually have better choices. And if you recognize your might, you recognize your power, you could choose somebody that is better. We have had it very bad. We have had a situation where it is between someone that says they will do nothing and someone that says they will do nothing. If you look at the billboards out there, 2027 is sure. You see another billboard, so Edo South, strong leadership, and there's just nothing. They don't really say anything. You know, before now, people have to pick from one of those. But now, as it is, you have someone that is coming out that has policy statements. You have someone that is coming out that has bills. 25 of them I've written already, at least a summary of them. And if you look at all of those bills, they speak to what we are here for. They speak to putting the people first. Because why I'm coming into politics, that I observe that people are in politics for their own sake. And the most disheartening thing is that Nigerians have come to say, okay, yeah, that's normal, that's fine. In short, that last one is the most painful one for me. That these people have been beaten up so badly that they have now come to accept that it's fine for us to be beaten up. The mediocrity has gone so bad that the people have now come to accept that you have to be mediocre. So I cannot accept that. That's why I came out, and I've come out with more bills than some senators of 8 years have sponsored. And you can look at them at edosouth.com. You'll see that they are actually bills that are written for you. They are written with you in mind. For example, anytime we talk about work, we always say increase the salary, increase the salary, increase the salary, increase the minimum wage. But guess what? Minimum wage is only government workers that are paid minimum wage. So what happens to the private workers? Now, if you want to say private companies should pay minimum wage, some companies will tell you, okay, we can't afford it, so we'll just lay off the staff. People will be jobless. Makes it worse. So what I'm coming with is to say, okay, if you are paying XYZ amount, let the worker work XYZ time. So we are using time to regulate it. So if you are paying less than 200,000, for example, let the worker work for 6 hours. Guess what? He can get another work. And he does 2 jobs. Put the money together. It's good. We are people that live in Edo. One beautiful thing about Edo, especially the Edo South area, is that we are very well-traveled people. We have people abroad, a lot of them. And it is leading to the development of the space. Ask your relative abroad, how many of them work a single job? They pay them reasonable amount. They pay them what you don't get. They pay them per hour or per week, what you don't get to earn per month. Yet, they have opportunities to work 3 jobs because that job that pays them that much does not take all of their time. So I'm approaching this issue of minimum wage from another perspective. Okay, private people, government, if you can't pay so much, don't take so much of the people's time. So the first thing that does is that if you work for government, your ministry sometimes may need ×2 the workforce. You can work somewhere else as whatever. You can go and farm, or you can go home and sleep. There's nothing wrong in sleeping. You need your mental health to be in place. You can go home and you can do school run very conveniently, as against making arrangements for one driver to pick up your children, and at the end of the day, you expose your children to kidnapping. You have to pay that driver a huge sum of money. So what I'm saying is that we can cut work time for people that are not being paid up to a certain amount. You see, that bill is for you, it's not for me. You get it. Another bill that we were talking about was the bill that would say, okay, lands that are not used, and I know this is kind of technical because the Land Act is a state government thing, but we can start it from the Senate and say lands that are not used must be used for farming. You see a big man will buy a land, and for 10 years he has not done anything on the land. The land will just be there. It will be open to criminals, and then it will be wasting away. We are saying that if you buy a land and in 6 months you have not used it, you are under compulsion by law to put a farmer on that land. Imagine what that would do for food security. Imagine what that would do for the farmers that you have to look for and put in that land. You know, that will give food, that will give job, that will put land to use. Now you have military barracks in the GROA. You know, I don't want to mention their names. In the GROA, what's happening in the GROA? Why are they here? When there's kidnapping on the highway, you push the barracks to the highway. You create a farming system attached to the barracks. There's food for the soldiers, there's food for their family, there's food for them to ship to town to sell. You know, food, lifestyle, you know, all of these bills are for you. Now, look at another bill that I'm thinking of, which is the establishment of a Ministry of Logistics. Now, when you ask yourself, when you have Ministry of Transportation, what do? They don't construct roads. That's Ministry of Works. They don't build infrastructure. So what do? They don't run a transport company. So what do? Now, how about you say, okay, there's Ministry of Transport, you merge it with 9 posts or whatever postal services we have. And then you say, okay, let's create a Ministry of Logistics. What do? The federal government of Nigeria will help small and medium-scale businesses move their goods. So if you are a student, and shout out to the students, we see you selling perfume, selling jewelries, selling small stuff like that. But the problem is that if you're in Uniben, you are selling stuff, right? You can only sell to people around you. So you can as well forget about selling to people in Kano. You can as well forget about selling to people in Kaduna or Sokoto. But we are saying that if we have a Ministry of Logistics, that the federal government is concerned about moving your products from one place to the other. We just ensure that the product is very cheap product, maybe under 50K or less. If you are selling a necklace in Uniben, the government will move it for you using this ministry to Sokoto or anywhere in Nigeria for 500 naira. They will cap the way money. So that way, imagine what it will do for you. Your customers can be anywhere in Nigeria. So this is what I'm thinking. And they are all for the people. The people. This is all that is in my head. Because I have noticed what it takes, what it costs us as a people, as a country, that politicians are thinking of themselves alone. Look, if I'm a senator tomorrow, give me my salary, give me my benefits. I'm not hypocritical. I'm not one of those that say that, oh, let them cut the benefit, let them cut the benefit. Give me my benefits, please. But it stops there. The money that goes to my constituency is not my business. The only time is my business is to manage it and ensure that it reaches the people. And like I have said, I am not going to even be a signatory to the constituency account. We'll work out a way. We can have a committee of influencers, a committee of activists, or a committee of elders, what we'll do is to ensure, okay, I set up a process that it's not even possible for me to steal the money. Because you have to be realistic. You have to understand that people change. People become what they were not. I have to think of that for myself too. In case I want to change, with these things I've said, with the structures I've put in place, I can't even afford to change. So these are some of the things I'm thinking, and there are a lot of them. If you go to edosouth.com, you'll see so many of them. And just read up. I used to say, and I will continue to say, don't support me if you don't believe what I'm saying. If you buy it, support. So with all of this, if the people are able to say, this is good enough, this is what we wanted, there's nobody that is coming out to offer us this at all, because that's the situation we are dealing with. We're not dealing with a situation where I'm saying my own, another person is saying their own. It's just empty. The bar is that low. They're not even talking. They're not suggesting, I don't know how to say it. There's no competition when it comes to ideas. There's no competition when it comes to policies. No competition, zero. So will the people choose a person that promised them nothing, or a person that promised them a system that will work? Check this out. If I'm senator today and I bring in all of these plans, I've not even talked about the people's office. When I bring in my plan for the people's office, the constituency money will barely be enough to execute what I want to execute for the people. So when another senator comes in, what will he eat? We need to be thinking in this direction. If we are thinking in this direction, I am almost certain that I'm going to win. But can the people change their thinking? Can the people think correctly? That is the question before us. Not if I can win. If they think correctly, there's no contest. Yes, the structure we are talking about is a structure of corruption. And if you look at the people in this structure, they are not much. They are just corrupt enough to mobilize, to sell, number one, sell their vote for money, to get other people to do the same. But how many votes can they buy? If you look at it, in elections that we have seen, they buy vote and buy vote and buy vote and buy vote, and they still struggle to win. You still see a 5,000 people difference. Now, in many of these elections, the people that did not vote are more than the people that voted. So the question is, if the people that did not vote because they were not inspired, and it makes sense for a lot of people not to have voted, because they are thinking of it that, look, what does it make? They are all the same, and they were all the same till now. You understand? But if the people can be wise enough to say, okay, this one is not like them. This one is telling us something you will do. This one is telling us something we can measure. This one is telling us something that we can hold against him. If they know that, that should motivate them to vote. And if they vote, they are more than the people that are ready to sell their vote. So in that light, that is why I keep putting it in context. If I just say I'll win, what it means is that I am certain that the people will have sense. And to be honest, and I said something about this election, right? That I'm not going to be nice to the people because I want, for God's sake, tough love. Because I want your vote, I'm going to tell you are not the problem, the leaders are the problem. It's a lie. You are like 80% of the problem. That's the thing. So if you wake up, we are going to put somebody there that is going to change the whole landscape of politics in Nigeria. Look, my document is titled People Over Personal Interest. A strategic way of changing, of radical change. A strategic approach to radical change. I'm intentional about the words. Radical change, but strategic. I'm not going to go out there and fight. But I'm going to, by winning this election, I'm going to show that, okay, you can have 3 billion and you will lose. Once you are able to pass that message, that if you have 3 billion that you have to spend, you can still lose to someone that has better ideas. Once you can pass that message, you have changed Nigeria. Because guess what? My dream is not for AAC alone to come and be leading all through. That's not success. My dream is that AAC will bring a good candidate the next time, APC will bring a good candidate, PDP will bring a good candidate. Because everybody would have learned now more. You will just waste your money. Because if somebody that has ideas come, the people will choose him. So the change I am looking for is holistic. So again, in context, if the people are wise enough, if the people see that there's ideas, there's policy, there's personality, there's strategy, there's system in this campaign. But if the people remain either unconscious, that is unconsciousness. Somebody said, if we're alive, if we don't die, we are not aware of our suffering. You think the average Nigerian knows how much he's suffering? He doesn't know. That's why when they go abroad, you see them, their head will just spark. They will become crazy about you. You hardly find an APC supporter abroad. Very rare. Except the one that is directly benefiting from the government. Now, I'm not even saying, and I know this will be controversial, I'm not even saying APC is all nonsense, right? For example, Governor Sanwo-Olu is APC, and in my estimation, he's doing well. I think Governor Zulum is APC. In my estimation, he's doing well. So what I'm saying to you is that for the most part, when people go out, they do not subscribe to whatever party is ruling and whatever system of government we are operating. They just become crazy about the whole thing. And you see them, that's why you see AAC has a lot of diaspora supporters. Because people now go out of the country and see what they could have gotten that they are missing. So Nigerians are not really awake to the reality. They are awake to the reality, there's no doubt that I don't have competition as far as this election, maybe the next one. But if the people continue like this, then of course the usual people will win. So I'm being realistic. Okay, it's two ways. Patrick Obayagbon said this. He said, you people would think he's saying jargon, he's not. He said irrational irritability, something optimism, like unreasonable optimism, something like I wish I could remember the word, but part of it was irrational irritability. Now I'm seeing two things happen to Nigerians, right? We are irrational in our irritability. The way we talk about government is irrational, and the way we support government is also irrational. So there's no middle course. I'll give us examples, right? I am AAC. There are things that the APC government will do, and I'm still going to say, oh, this was well done. For example, Governor Okpebholo of recent, we see what he did with the kidnappers, right? Caught them in one day. And he was on top of the matter. He was at the police station himself. He said he was going to hang you if you kidnap, if there will be a speedy process for trial and all of that. He was talking tough. When you hear him talk, you are going to be scared to kidnap in Edo. That was good. I don't see why it is anti-party activity or why it is such a terrible thing for us to say that. Even if you wanted to score him low generally, even if you wanted to, that was good. When it is good, you say it. You get it. So I find irrational irritability, that people are just angry. Anything Nigerian leaders, oh, they are all terrible, evil. Some of them are not evil. Some of them, it is the system. And I believe we'll get to the issue of the system, right? So I also find unreasonable optimism, that people just say, leader, no mind them, after you na you. And all these things are usually on the basis of nothing. You get. So for me, it's not really about who you are supporting. It's about why are you supporting who you are supporting. Can you marshal points? And can you marshal points that would tell us that you ought to have supported who you are supporting? This is very important. You understand? So we are not holding our leaders accountable because we are either unfairly criticizing them on every single thing, or we are unfairly praising them on every single thing. What I want Nigerians to do is to say, this is good, this is bad. Tinubu did this well, Tinubu did this wrongly. So that way, it is not just partisanship. It is not just, oh, I belong here, so whatever they do is correct. Oh, I belong there, so whatever they, it shouldn't be like that. I think there's need for a balance, right? There's need for a balance. How do we create this system where people can fairly judge the government. Number one, the government has to be transparent. The government has to be open so that we can look at the data, we can argue about the data based on facts. Anything that comes to my office as a senator will be published. It will be on our website, edosouth.com. You will see that, oh, so and so day the Senate paid so and so amount to our constituency account. And so and so day we withdraw this for a flight justification. So and so day we withdraw this for a project. So and so day we withdraw this to pay salaries of XYZ. Everything is there. So if you want to say we are not spending money where, and another person says we are spending money where, they have data to debate with. That was the point of the whole Freedom of Information Act, which was a very good one. I won't say it was bad because the people that did it were not AAC members. It was a very good one. So you open up the information, but that one you now have to request. In this case, by default, we are opening it up. Let everybody be looking at it. Let's see who will come and steal it when everybody is looking at it. And we create a system for the people to give us feedback. I'll give you an instance. Say we want to construct a road, and if you look at all my policies, there are no constructions. Why? Because that's how they steal money. They will tell you they want to do road, they'll inflate the contract and they'll collect money. We will do it by the side. It's not something you should thank us for. You know, say you want to construct a road, you should be able to put up the contractor. People should be able to go to CAC and check who owns that company, and you should have a portal where people can publicly complain and say this company is owned by the senator's cousin or the senator's friend. Why are they giving him contract? Now we have to do that. Am I saying that every single government around the world must do that? No, I am not. I'm saying that where we are coming from is very bad. So to restore that trust, we need to be extremely open. And it brings me to another B I was looking at. The reporting, the budget and reporting system. You know, every time they tell us, oh, this is what we want to use 15 trillion for XYZ. But at the end of the day, we don't know what they get to use at the end of the day. So how about we have a stipulation that says, okay, when the president comes to present the next year's bill, he has to present a report on what was actually finally spent the year before. That's where we can scrutinize. There are some rumors that, okay, there are some allocations that they released only 5%. Let's know which ministry that is. Then we can be able to judge. They failed in this. They budgeted 100 billion and they spent 5 billion. And even that did not give us any results. You know, when we have data, everything is open. We'll be able to tell what correct judgment of government is and what is not. Okay, the thing is, that's a very good question. You know, this is what we want. We want ideas, then we want scrutiny on the ideas so that it brings out the best in it. The thing is, let me start from the bottom. It's not easy to deceive 200 million people. It's not easy at all. When something comes to the public, you can't take it back because people have kept it. So, and the nature of a lie is that when you lie, you have to cover it with another lie, another lie, another lie. Sometimes you have to even say you did not say that. And hence some men and their wives, they know how far. They will even say, no, I did not tell you I was so, because that's the way you can meet up. You have to cover one lie with another. Now, when one lie comes to the public keeps it. You can't keep going like that. You are going to contradict yourself. This happens even in business. If you are not an honest businessman and you have shareholders or investors or creditors, whatever they are, when you keep reporting to them, that's why the businesses I do, I make my reporting very short, once in a month. If you keep reporting to them, you can't afford to lie because you have to tell so many lies in short period. And then you get to a point you contradict yourself or you box yourself into a corner. I'll give you an example. Let's say you spend so and so amount on so and so. Now, you have told this lie to 200 million people. There are a lot of people that will scrutinize it. There are a lot of people that you have exposed yourself to further questioning. Don't forget, we also have the Freedom of Information Bill. So people are going to ask for evidences for whatever figures they feel looks ambiguous or looks bloated. This just brings you out in a way that politicians have never been out before. For example, we have seen instances where they say we constructed so and so road, number of road, so and so kilometers of road with so and so amount. Of recent, we saw a minister refusing to say how much a kilometer of road is, and I don't want to be specific. Refusing to say how much a kilometer of road is, because if he says it, it sounds ridiculous. So let's say you wanted to do a 100-kilometer road, and we already know from around the world how much they do it. Let's say we already know they spend 100 million per kilometer. Now, you will now know that if I want to lie, I cannot say I spent 600 million per kilometer. It becomes a problem. And maybe the amount you were thinking of lying and putting there will amount to 600 million per kilometer. You are already constrained. You will now have to reduce the stealing, first of all, because you have to make, unlike, see, there's corruption, there's hopeless corruption. There's corruption that just goes on secretly. There's corruption that goes on unchecked. There's no way you can check it. So when you put it out, you have already boxed them in a corner. They can steal, but they can't steal so much. And in the little that they can steal, we can still scrutinize it and come out with evidences that they stole. Or they have to at least admit that they are spending more than other people, which is also a question on their governance. Because even if the project was an honest project and it was too expensive, that also speaks to your leadership. So there is no time that keeping it secret is better than bringing it out. Bringing it out, we always make it uncomfortable for stealing to happen. For example, you're also going to bring out the names of the contractors, and people will know who are the directors in this company. Do not make evil easy for them. That is why when people say, why are you running? Do you know what it takes? These people, they have billions. You have to use 13 billion. You have to use this and that. I say, yes, but if it takes 13 billion to put close to an idiot there that doesn't know what he's doing, why don't you give them problem so that it will take 20 billion? Do you get? Why don't you take some of their vote so that they will spend more money? When they spend more money, it becomes uncomfortable for them. Why do you want, they are doing something bad. Let me give you an instance. They're burning down your father's house. And somebody say, you can't stop there, just go and relax. No, because it's your father's house or because it's your property, you are going to do the little that you can to salvage it. You are going to make it hard for them to burn, even though you know they will still burn it. So we have to do things that will make them uncomfortable, even in their corruption. So that is a step in fighting corruption. Okay, so why are youths not entering politics? Number one, politics is expensive. Politics is very expensive. So you don't expect a young person that is just trying to gather his life together to join. But you know, it becomes annoying when you remember the fact that some of these people that led us in their 70s had led us in their 20s. A number of them led us into war, a civil war, and so many tribal crises that they could not even handle. Now they come back in their 70s to lead us. So at what point are the people in between going to lead? So again, part of what we are trying to achieve is to say, okay, we're not too young. Some people will look at me and say, oh, Senate, why did you not start from why you don't start from local government chairman? But you know, one of the people running for this same seat under the APC, he was secretary to the state government when he was 39-40. You know? And by that time, the governor was Lucky Igbeneghu, was 42 years old. But today, if you are 42 years old, they will tell you you are too young to run. What they are really telling you is that you are too poor. You are not Igbeneghu's child. So why do you think you could run? The other lady that is married to Two-Face is a very young lady. You know, I can't remember her age, but she's quite young. Her age just left my head now. She's quite young. And nobody ever says, you are young, you don't even look, sorry to say, you don't even look serious like that. Because, you know, so But nobody ever says, is this pressure not too big for you? Because she's a Igbinedi's daughter, so it doesn't matter. But you, the child of a nobody, and it's quote and unquote nobody, because your parents were somebody, you know, that they didn't steal doesn't mean they were nobodies, you know. So that statement stealing is not in relation to Igbinedi, I'm just saying, you know. So that should not make you think you cannot come out. But we have to key money politics for the youth to come out. So the Gen Zs, you know, we know they like soft life. And maybe there's nothing wrong in soft life. But they should also remember that you have to be ready to inconvenience yourself a little bit for you to participate. Most of the people that are not voting obviously are young people, because they feel, why should I stress? And the person that wants to win is the person that will win. The moment we change that, the moment the voting population change that, all of these people will troop out. And you know, Gen Z, you cannot really tell them what to do. It's what is in their mind that they will do. Once politicians start dealing with that generation, then they are going to know that, oh, it's a problem. Now we have to convince the people. If these people are not convinced, they will not vote us. Gen Zs are the one that will collect your money and vote for another person. You understand? They don't have that kind of loyalty. They're going to eat your money and vote for another person. So that way money politics will fail. That is why it is essential that we win on a campaign like this that is just based on intellectualism, based on personality, based on agenda. Because by then it will teach the political class a lesson that, look, people are now after ideas. And give it to the Gen Z, they are very creative people. So when they see that, oh, there's something here, they will go. So we need to inspire them. I think that is what we need. First of all, we need to make money, politics less money based, so that anybody can come in. We also need to show example by inspiring the young people. When we inspire them, that will be all. Not just young people that are from average background. Because the big man's child, like I have explained, does not have a problem, never ever feels he's too young. He always feels he's old enough to do what he needs to do. Buhari's son, for example, is running now. I'm not against him, I'm just saying that he has that confidence to run at his age because he's Buhari's child. And it goes like that. You could mention them. I don't like dropping names. But when it comes to me and you, they'll tell you are too young, your generation does not have sense. Whereas, which generation put us in this mess? Were they Gen Zs? They were not. So that's for that. It depends on what I do between now and the election, if I'm being very honest. It's easy for me to say, oh, Nigerians. But it depends on what I do now till the elections. We that don't have the money, we have to work extra hard. We have to come from where they are not expecting. We have to do stuff that they cannot do. You get it? We have to put our messages on videos. I'm sure most people have not seen senatorial candidates that come on videos and talk about their idea, because there's nothing to talk about. They'll just say, vote for me, vote for my party, and that's all. But I have a lot to talk about that we have not even started. You know, so if we work on unique parts, and this is why we need to win this election. This is why AAC needs to win this election in Edo South. Because what it does is that it says to the average person that, look, if you are strategic, if you are hardworking, if you put in all your effort, cancel out everything on your bucket list as per the election, you will win. That is the point. That's the message. And so if I slack between now and election, I'm going to know that's on me, right? So I won't blame the people. I will know, okay, you were going against the tide, you were fighting something that was bigger than you, and you slack. You know? But if I don't slack, and I'm able to do what we have set out to do, and we still lose, then I'll try again. I'll try again. Because I know, okay, I put in my best, we got some people, but you can't give up on your country. You can't give up on even your parents. Now, this is your country, like it is your identity. You can't give up on anything that cannot leave you alone. You know, Nigerians that have been abroad will tell you, you get to a point you realize that I'm not, it's obvious that I'm not from here. It's obvious. So you can't give up on your house. You know, you have to fight for your house and don't let a stranger come and take it over. So if I do my best and I still do not win, I will try again. That's just what will happen. I'll keep trying. And trying, I also want Nigerians to know that trying is not one way. Trying is not always about contesting for election. There are people that they use the election to get enough popularity to start some private efforts. So there are different ways to try again. Okay, let me start from the back. People do not sell their votes because they are poor. I don't believe in that. Because I've seen people that are poorer that will never sell their vote. People sell their vote because they are stupid. There's no nice way of saying it. I'll tell you how stupid some of these people are. They're going to take money from you. They're going to go into a secret ballot where nobody's looking at them. And they are still going to vote for you that they already know is a bad person because you are buying votes. So I don't know who is more. I would think that the person that sells the vote is more guilty. Because the person that buys the votes, maybe he has a way of consoling himself that if he gets to power, he will do better. But you, that this person has shown his hand to, you already know that this person is a bad person by virtue of asking for my vote through money. You already know that. It is so bad, I'll tell you a story, right? Somewhere in Edo State, there was something that was done, I won't say by which party. When you are leaving the polling units, they will give you money. 10,000. I heard you voted for our party, take 10,000. Why would they do that? Because you have already left. So why are they giving you money, whether you voted for their party or not? The strategy is that you will now call your friend that has not voted and say, so and so party, they share money, vote for them so that you collect your own. They think, say I vote for them, I make them give me. So you are helping them to buy vote. At the same time, you can't really hold them for buying vote because they did it after the fact. You have finished voting before they gave you money. You get it. So if that's not stupidity, I don't know the nice way to say it. You know, people in opposition will easily say, people say they vote because they are poor. It's the poverty that so and so people cause. There are people that are honorable that will not say their vote. There are people that know that they are poor because they sold the last vote. There are people that know that they are poor because the right people did not enter the position. So there's no amount of money you give them that will make them sell their vote. Look at the issue of you are not going to win. You're not going to win, so I don't want to waste my vote. So the question is, who is really wasting his vote? Is it the person that voted who he wanted to vote, even though the person did not win? That person is protesting. Protest is not a waste. Or the person that knows that it was this party that was going to win because they will buy votes, rig, use violence, use server, whatever. You know that it's that party that was going to win. And you still voted for that party because you wanted to belong. So you wasted your time. You spent money till night to vote for a person that was going to win. So who really wasted their vote? So you can't wish away stupidity. There's stupidity, there's mass stupidity. A lot of people are silly. I can't even say majority of people are not silly. I can't boldly say that. You know, a lot of people are silly. And the only thing we could do is to resensitize people, make them think for once, and then see if something good will come out of it. I would have said political apathy is more dangerous than bad leadership because it is what leads to bad leadership. The people don't vote. So the people that are voting are mostly people that are allied with certain parties, whether they did well or not. But the problem, why I will still go back to bad leadership, is that, like I've said before, there are no examples. You know, it's not like there are clear examples. Nigerians could see that this is clearly the way to go, and they went the other way. Now, I don't mind what this will do. I'll talk about Obi, for example. Obi seems to be a lot of people's choice, people that don't want the government. But you could say why, and I know there are some obedience here, so I would like them to take me on, right? It will make this more interesting. You could ask why. And they will say, okay, we trust him, we know he's a good person, blah, blah, blah. Now, let me tell you what you can prove about Obi. It's safe to assume he's not a thief because he would have been exposed. He has run under government and opposition. I give him that. But when you say his performance in Anambra State, so we are going to now say, okay, what are you talking about? Can you be clear? Can you be specific? You understand? Now it becomes debatable. If you put Obi's performance in Anambra State and you put Tinubu's performance in Lagos, at least you will be a liar not to say that it is debatable. At the very least, it is debatable who was better. As a matter of fact, if you say it is not debatable that Tinubu was better, I can't believe that you're being sincere a little bit. Because it was Lagos, there was a lot of money, there was a lot of avenue to make more money. And like my friend said, he said, if you are impressed by the ideas of a Lagos state governor, then you don't understand where Lagos is. Because just be a governor, people will come and pile ideas for you. This is Lagos, for God's sake. Do you get? So you could even say, okay, it was the Lagos factor. If you remove the Lagos factor, it can be argued that Tinubu was a better governor than Obi. On any parameters, we could bring it out. Do you get? Now, this is my argument. This is the argument of some people that support Tinubu. It's not clear. If you want to meet ourselves at the middle, we will say it is not clear who was better. So, at the end of the day, there is different, there is like day and night. That is the kind of leadership that we want to see. But the best person we have now in some people's mindsets is either Obi, some will say it's Sowore, some will say it is Atiku. Now Atiku has been vice president for 8 years. In this country that we said is rotting, is dead, is whatever. So if somebody sincerely thinks Atiku, so if you get the point I'm making, and I hope people can get it, is that all the people that are forerunners, you have good reason to believe that they will not do well. You have good reason. For Atiku, you could say he was there 8 years under Obasanjo, and the PDP was a damn corrupt party. At least the way Nigerians judged it. You could say, we cannot explain Atiku's way, but you could, what I'm saying is that you could say that and it will make sense, right? Now when you come to Tinubu, you could say Tinubu is corrupt and there are evidences everywhere. If for nothing, the guy doing a lot of the construction is his friend. This Chowdhury guy, this India-Pakistani guy, what's his name? I can't even remember. The guy that has a coat. That's this guy. That's corrupt enough. Minus the things that I cannot even say here, that I know almost firsthand. Now, if you come to Obi, you could say Anambra State is a normal state today. And he was governor for 8 years. So it's reasonable for minus the bloppers, minus the things that he says. You understand? Minus Rufai was asking him, what will you do about kidnapping? We have now considered that Tinubu has failed. What will you do? And Obi never ever says specifics. Am I saying because of that I am sure that Obi will be a bad president? No, not really. He may get there and he will kill it. I pray if he succeeds, he kills it. Whoever succeeds should kill it. This is Nigeria, is our home, we want the best. But I'm saying that based on that interview, it is reasonable for a person to say, I don't think this guy will do well. We have not really had a leader or a leadership figure that everybody is just like hands up. So you can't tell me that what Nigeria needs is a clearly inspirational leader, a leader that they truly believed in. Now, we came closest to that. I mean before election now. Because while Yar'Adua was there, we now saw some good and he died. You know, Nigeria, if you die, you become a good person. I'm not saying he was a bad person, but the only time Nigerians will agree is when you die. The closest we got to people really believing in a leader, then he won, was Buhari. his first term, people really felt, okay, Buhari, if Buhari enters, leave it. You know, people really felt that, and they were let down. You know, this is not even a final judgment on Buhari's government, but it was a letdown at the end of the day. It wasn't what we expected. We expected that, you know, when he started, there was this thing about body language. You know, it was said that everybody that was stealing kind of folded for a while to see if it's going to be as they thought it would be. And when they saw that the man was sick, he left for 100 days. We're not sure of who was president, who was in charge. When they saw that, okay, the man was soft and people around him controlled a lot of things, everybody was let loose. And now we see the case with Emefiele. Emefiele was a Jonathan appointee that Buhari left for the fun of it. And then we saw what Emefiele did at the end of the day. So the point is, Nigerians have not been lucky enough. I don't know if you get this. Nigerians have not been lucky enough to have a clearly inspirational leader. And even if you look back at the law for Buhari, it was not on the basis of policies. It was not on the basis of what he has said he will do. It was on the basis of he is an honest person. That is why I talked about your being honest is not enough when you come to Nigeria of today. You have to set up a system that does not reward dishonesty. I'll give us an example. We heard of the story of one of the greatest heists in the US, where some armed robbers successfully robbed, I think, a number of casinos. So imagine how much they took. And then 2 policemen, I think a week later, ran into these armed robbers. They were not looking. I think they went somewhere for something. And they saw all of that money and they called it in. Do you think those policemen were really more righteous, more honest than the average policeman? You can say so. But guess what? Almost everybody will misbehave if there's no system that checks you. If you carry that policeman in Benin and you put him in that same scenario in the US, you know what he will ask himself? He will say, if I take this money, where do I put it? You know, if he takes the money here in Nigeria, he'll put it in the bank and nothing will happen. There are bankers that will suspend the money for you. You know, when it's 100 million, I think thereabout, CBN is supposed to be alerted. You know, EFCC is supposed to know, something like that. But there are bankers in this country that can suspend the money, nobody will be seeing it. Yeah? Because the system allows it. Now, he can even put it in the bank and it will not be reported. It's possible. But he's in a system where that kind of money cannot go in his name without the government being aware, without internal affairs being aware. If he says, let me hold it in cash, what does he do with it? As a policeman, if he buys a house, internal affairs will say, how did you get money to buy that house? We know how much we pay you. He cannot say, oh, I did one deal. They will say, which deal? Because it's supposed to be on a record, you know, because a lot of things are digitalized. He cannot say, oh, my brother gave it to me. They'll say, your brother earns XYZ. Where did your brother see it to give to you? Everything is in the open because of digitalization, right? So that policeman sees that he cannot buy a house, he cannot buy a car. Even if you buy that house, you'll be paying tax. From which money? You know, he can't buy a car. They will also ask. Because everything is on the record. But in Nigeria, there's a lot of off record. So people could do anything they want to do without consequences. When you put people in that situation, they'll do a lot of rubbish. So we need leaders that set up systems. You know, Buhari, I was coming from the place where I said Buhari was the closest we had to it. But Buhari did not set up a system that works for his. If he was Megiaskia, if he was a truthful person, he needed to set up a system that will ensure that everybody working for him will work on truth. If not, he'll be exposed. You know? But he didn't do that. So because of that, people just did rubbish around him. Now Malami is facing it. A lot of people under him have questions to answer because he did not put a structure in place. So that's why I will not say voter apathy, because we have not really seen a leader. Even the last one that we trusted could not do much. So it's discouraging. So it's not, the voter apathy is not happening in isolation. It's coming from somewhere. Okay, let me take the one that you said, can a good person become a bad leader? Yes. I have the opinion, I'm of the opinion rather, that some of these people we call bad leaders today did not intend to be bad leaders. I'm of that opinion. Because if you tell me that every single person in government today that is not performing well is because they were bad people, they wanted to steal money, then Nigeria is finished. It means the whole Nigerians want to steal money. Some people went with good intention, but it zeroes back to what I was saying before. The system was not set up. A bad system will make a good person a bad person. You know, when you come out and you say you want to run for position, right? A lot of things that you did not see coming will begin to happen. And then you begin to compromise and compromise and compromise until you no longer know yourself. So I think that's what happened to many of these people, right? So it's not about being a good person. What is your plan to ensure that you run a good government? I can say Buhari was a good person. I can assume that Buhari was a good person. I can assume that Osinbajo was a good person. Of course, I can say that Sowore is a good person. He has been fighting for people. But he has to come with a plan that will not bank on his goodness, because he can change. I can change. So that is why it's very important to ask people, what is your plan? Not just who you are. I will not eat money. They don't even say that. Funny, that's the funny thing. They don't even say that boldly, that they will not touch the money. They don't say that because, you know, there are some lies that are very hard to tell. If you already know you eat money, it's hard to say I will not eat money expressly. You will talk around it. But it's not enough to say I'm a trustworthy person. You have to put a system in place. That's why I gave you the example of people abroad. They're not necessarily better than us, but there's a system that they know. Let me give you an instance. You are talking of a country like the US, where you don't know who is carrying a gun. But Nigeria, carrying weapons are just outlawed. So it is supposed to be very hard to see a violent crime in Nigeria, because you have to carry a weapon, which already shows that you are out for something bad. Do you get it? But why is it that crime is still much under control? I'm not saying it is less, but it's under control in the US than in Nigeria. What do I mean by under control? I'm running for Senate now. If I was running for Senate in the US, I can go about that security. Because two things involved. The person that is supposed to harm me, they say that they will not harm you because it's not that deep. Secondly, the person that's supposed to harm me will be ready to sacrifice his life, because he knows that if he shoots me, with the sound of a gunshot, the police is there in 3-4 minutes. You get? So that will deter people from harming you, because they know there's a response. There is a response. But when you are dealing with Nigeria, where the system doesn't work, people can boldly think that there will be no response. I can do this thing and get away with it. So Nigerians will now do it more. You will now think that we are worse people. We are not worse people. They are tamed by the government because the government is working. Politicians abroad may be greater thieves than our politicians here. But the politicians here can easily steal without much. Without, if EFCC picks you up, you join APC, and then you can even collect form like Yaya Bello. EFCC is looking for him and is collecting form. He's meeting the president. Like you are meeting the president, EFCC is looking for you. Do you get? So the system is open. When systems are open like that, people will do what is bad. The system need to watch you. You need to be unable to do evil as much as possible. You know, not just banking on your personality. You need to be unable to do evil. So that is what they have. And that's what we don't have. That's why good men that go into politics end up being bad men. Because bad is relative. Somebody that gives contracts for construction of, let me just use anywhere as example, FCT for example. He wants to construct a road. Maybe he's the Minister of First Security. I'm giving an example. I'm not saying the present minister. So, so he wants to construct there's a road to be constructed, right? The minister takes some percentage from the construction, for example. But the minister constructs 50 roads. The city is looking very beautiful and all. He may convince himself that he has not done anything wrong, because those that did not steal money did not work like this. So you cannot leave these things to people's personal judgment. You have to be on them without politics being involved. If a member of the president's family tomorrow does a corrupt act, EFCC knows that they cannot go after that person. They are just aware. That is why there's still hope for Nigeria. It's easy to change Nigeria. You know what? Why it's easy? All you need is just that one man that calls the EFCC director and says, Omo, I need high-profile cases. Do you have anybody from my party leadership? Do you have anybody from my family members? Let's start from there so that Nigerians will know we are serious. If you do that, these corrupt people will just go abroad and go and relax, because they will know that, Omo, this one a madman. We need that madman. We need that madman. It will change Nigeria so fast. And zeroing back to Obi, that's my problem with Obi. You're a good guy by yourself, but you are not radical about your goodness enough, such that you can still roll with some other people that we know are obviously. I mean, why Malami's property was being published? It was in ADC and Obi could sit there. That's why me, personally, I prefer Showore. Because Showore will tell you, I can't sit with thieves. That's what he'll tell you. So, subject to the judgment. But you can make your own personal judgment. If you are accused of this thing, I can't sit with you. But Obi will sit with you. Obi will sit with you if it serves its political interest. And I'm not just too comfortable with that kind of person. I feel that is not the kind of person Nigeria needs now. Nigeria needs a radical that is going to just spoil everything for the bad people. Not take them gradually. Not Atiku is my boss. Not, not that kind of softball. So we need someone that changes the system. Not just someone that is good. Your goodness is not enough. That's the fact of this matter. Okay, that's a good question. Actually, in the US, that's the situation. In the UK, that's the situation. And I think these are countries that we have molded our countries after, our country's economy after. But I don't believe that should be the standard. That is why, if you notice, I used to say they can take up other jobs if they like, or they could do business if they like, or they could at least go and sleep and rest and be with their family. These things are very important, So, but in countries that we have molded our economy after, what you find is that they will tell you, you can make it, you can be successful financially if you are ready to work. That's not the case in Nigeria. So we should solve that problem first. In Nigeria, you work and work and work and work and kill yourself. The job will almost kill you and nothing will come in. That's why we're even saying, who go help you, no go stress you. We realize that the things that even bring more money are the things that don't even take much time. But that work that they say come 7:30 and close 6:30, they are the least paying jobs. And it's slave mentality. If you work somewhere for a long time and they pay you peanuts, you know what will happen to you? You begin to think that without that peanut you will die. Because you are giving all your life to that place. You begin to think that without that peanut, you are going to die. You will not be able to think of it that you are better than this. Why? Because they told you that from early morning to 6:30 p.m., it is 50K. Your mind will readjust to say, That means if I live here and I work for 6 hours or more, it is 5K they will give me. They have conditioned you. It is when the government has to step in and say, no, this work rich. Because the kind of socialism that I believe in is the socialism of government, not the socialism of the economy. I believe that the economy can be capitalist, let everybody struggle so that we can be creative. You know, when you know you can make more money than me, you will do more. And that more you are doing, you will empower people, invariably. But the government should have a socialist tune to say, okay, this is your capitalism now. Let's tame it here. Let's tame it here, make it not too much. Let it not be slave labor. So this is where labor laws come in, where we now regulate all these things. Okay, I think these are some of the issues that we hear that we say is the problem of Nigeria. But I think it goes back to inspirational leadership. If you have leadership or you have somebody you are projecting that has very good plans for the people, some people will say, I don't really mind. Because check it out, in business, nobody is actually saying those things. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. Nobody's actually saying those things. People are like, anywhere you come from, oh, I don't care, oh, please bring jobs. You know, bring jobs. Why would they say bring jobs? They don't care, they just want their money. So people are after their interest. If there are leaders that are after the interest of the people will care less. Look at Buhari. Before they said Jonathan showed them shege, you know, because all these things are relative. We heard that Buhari was a jihadist, Buhari was a bigot, Buhari was XYZ. But the moment they started seeing that, oh, you be like say this Buhari go better pass, we didn't hear much of those things again, died down. The spread became more. You understand? So if people really come up with something for the people, and the people can really see this person really get plan for us, I think it will kill some of those things. Yeah? That is one on the one hand. But there are people who will never give up on these matters. There are people who will always find a reason to bring up, you are not from here or you are from here. You know, those kind of people, and that is the issue that I have with democracy generally. The fact that everybody has one vote. That's what's operational now. I'm not saying we should undo it. When it's operational, you respect your agreement. Yeah? But for the person that is a tribalist that says this person is not from my tribe, to have one vote to the person that is a reasonable person, I don't think that's a first step. So you will always have this kind of people. But if you look at it deeply, you will see that they are not really about the tribe or about the religion. They are about value, or they're about what they can get. Because nobody is inspiring them as per value, then they are now thinking, what else can we hang on to? But when they see a truly inspirational leader, when they see a leader that will benefit them, sometimes they'll throw all these things away. Because look at it this way. Many people in the obedient movement, there's a sizable amount of Igbos, Christians. I'm not minimizing it. But I'm just saying, for example, but one of the ringleaders of the obedient movement is Aisha Yesufu. Aisha is not Igbo, is not Christian, and she wears her hijab long to the ground. Nobody in obedient movement is going to call Aisha the names that they will call somebody that was on the other side. Do you get? Because now they know this person is in line with our interest. So they will dump that religion. That religion will not matter for now. You understand? The same way, we have also seen some Christian figures that because they were in line with the interests of the North would carry them high. Christopher Musa, for example, was loved by everybody because we thought he would do so well. Even the Northern Muslims loved Christopher Musa because they felt this is a Northerner and is going to help us solve this problem. At the end of the day, when they want to solve problem, nobody cares. The same way they'll say nobody cares about the medical doctor. You know, politicians will always say, why do you care about where I'm from? After all, the medical doctor that treats you, nobody cares about the medical doctor where he's from or his religion. But the medical doctor treats you. You get it? It treats you, gives you value, right? But the politician, people feel that you are going there to eat for yourself and to favor whoever is your people. So that will make them feel like, okay, this guy is not from here. Why should we give this thing to him? You know, for example, I'll give myself as an example. I was born and raised in Edo South, but my father originally is from Delta. So the time I was born here, it was Bende. I was in my state. I was born in my state. Now my father chose to live in Benin, not Ugeli. He chose to build his business in Benin, employ people in their thousands in Benin, not Ugeli. When we grew up, they divided the state. I could travel to Delta State. I've not been to Delta State up to 10 times in my life. I went to nursery, primary, secondary, university, everything here. Edo South. Now, if I have all these ideas and I want to be a senator, why should I go to Delta State to give them the ideas? They are not the ones that raised me. I appreciate them, but the people that raised me are the people of Edo South. They are the ones I should serve. But for a person that is not thinking that this is service, he will be thinking, this person's father is not originally from here. Why should he serve here? Now, I'll give you the example of a medical doctor. If I was born here, raised here, grew up here, my father did his business here, we did everything here, my own business, everything in Edo South. I now went to school and I became a medical doctor. I now want to practice. And some people now say, I come Delta, and I say you are from Delta. And I say, no. Edo South people are the people that raised me, are the people I want to treat, the people that I want to treat their children. You appreciate me, you'll be happy. You will even like me more than somebody that is originally from here. Because I want to give you something. But because politics has been bastardized, that is no longer you giving, it's now you taking. People will now say, oh, don't take our own. I don't know if you get it. Don't take our own. That's where the our own, not our own came from. So these are some of the things we want to change. When it becomes a thing of service, people will serve where they are indebted to. The way I am indebted to Edo South. So I want to serve Edo South because of that. Yes, if we don't change, it's going to be the same circle. Because at the end of the day, people will vote whoever they thought will win. You know, at the end of the day, people will vote not based on promises, not based on plan. They'll just keep voting. You know, so at the end of the day, we're going to just be in the same circle. There will be no progress and I'll tell you why there will be no progress, because I don't just talk without giving specifics, right? Look at the CNG issue. Now, when Tinubu came, all we talk about is that Tinubu removed subsidy and fuel became high. Now, everybody agreed that subsidy needed to go, right? Because they were using it to steal. They were using it to steal money, number one. Number two, the government was buying fuel for people, including rich people. That's the sad part. That is why if you ask me my opinion on subsidy, what I'll tell you is that subsidize for the poor and let the rich pay the full amount. Subsidy needed to go, but how it left was an issue. Tinubu did not even get to Aso Rock before he said subsidy is gone. And you could understand some part of it because they were borrowing money to pay subsidy. They were using our fuel underneath, our crude oil, to borrow money. So it wasn't really a palatable thing. It was killing the country quietly. Now, it does that. People say that is the problem. That is not really the problem. The problem is that there are supposed to be palliatives. There will also be things that you put in place before you do something like that, or while you have done it. One of those things was what? CNG. Now, let public transport, imagine if the public transport in Nigeria were all using, or a large percentage of them were using CNG. so that they can maintain the same price. Yeah? Now, government had an initiative to do that, which is that they will give the kit to public transporters for free. But nobody got it for free. It was sold. It was sold. People bought it for 700,000, 1 million. You know, imagine if they actually fixed it in public transportation vehicles, registered ones, for free. People would have seen that, oh, subsidy is removed, the states are getting more money to do more projects, and at the same time, I'm paying the same transport fare or a little more. Supposed to be a good plan, but guess what? Why it will not work? Because of the political culture, where if somebody helps you to campaign, you will not give the person position, which I think we'll talk about that one separately, the political culture. You will not give the person position. Because of that, that person that you now put in charge of that thing would want to recoup the money that he used to help you to campaign. So instead of giving that thing for free, I'm talking hypothetically now, he's going to sell it. So you see, that is how our mentality, that they must share money, that you must vote for the winning party, that you have to be realistic, that it's only a big man that will win. All those mentality, that is how it ruins everyday stuff. So if you keep making politics something of big money, the question is, who is going to fund it? Nigeria has not gotten as bad as it can get. I can see it. Who is going to fund it? In the US, people fund elections and then tell the president when to go to war. We saw a recent example. We have not even gotten that bad. We are coming. Until you start having a time where a billionaire will be the sole. The reason why we have not gotten that bad is that those that have been our presidents so far were relatively very rich people. It will get to a time that if we don't kill money politics, it will get to a time that so much money will be needed in politics, only billionaires will fund it. And they will fund it on a condition. And that president must keep to that condition. So billionaires will control this country. But not even, it's going to get worse if we don't change. If we don't break this whole circle, it will get worse. So this is how it affects us. And it's going to be worse because right now what you have in Nigeria is that the party brings the money. The members of the party with different interests brings the money together. So the president, in a way, it is worse. Because the president has to satisfy all those people. You spent money, you spent money, you spent money, you spent money. He has to now give them positions. So they don't see the need to function. They don't have to be qualified. No Ribado today. No Ribado is a great guy in my opinion. But is NSA, why? Is it the most qualified to be NSA? It's NSA because it was Tinubu's friend. I went to their campaign event. I wanted to hear Tinubu with my ear when he came to Benin. And it was him and No Ribado now. Him, No Ribado, Festus Keyamo, everybody that came there with Tinubu are ministers today, people holding big positions today. Festus Keyamo, I don't have a problem with him. But our Minister of Aviation is a lawyer. Do you get? Our Minister of Defense, when Tinubu just came in, was an accountant. So what are we doing here? Are we playing? And you want results? Are there no qualified people? Our NSA is a retired policeman, head of EFCC, is the head of is the National Security Advisor. But he was following Tinubu around, so he needed to be rewarded. If we don't break this culture, if we don't break this mentality, we will miss Tinubu. Now, I think you're talking about priorities. Like, there's insecurity, there's power problem, so I'll also give you a statement about governorship, like what should the governor tackle first. Now, there's this thing they call, I forgot what they call it, but it essentially means that there's a problem that you solve that solves all the problems. So let's say, for example, you're always behind schedule when you are delivering a job, and at the same time, you're always feeling tired. At the same time, you are overweight. So you are thinking you are going to the gym to reduce your weight, right? But maybe that will not help your delivering jobs on time. So you will not say, okay, let me be hydrated. I'm dehydrated. That's why I'm always tired. That's why, because I'm tired, I'm always eating. You know, there are problems that connect each other. So you have to go to the root of the problem and solve it, right? Now, if there's insecurity, there's a number of issues. Now, I would rather take this up to the president, right? Because you talked about insecurity, and governors do not really control the police, but I'll still come to what they can do. There's insecurity, there's light issue. What should the president do first? The first thing the president should do is to put the right people in the right position. It looks theoretical, but that is what he should do. Put the right people in the right position. Look at Tinubu's government now. You are not going to fault the Minister of Interiors. As much as people hate Tinubu's government, the Minister of Interior, Ojo, everybody praises him. Because now you can get your passport like this. You know, even people abroad, they can get their passport like this. So they become a little more proud about their country. So that problem is solved. Why? Because as a leader, you know, what we miss is what leadership actually is. Leadership is that you are able to set things in motion. It's not that you do things yourself. This is the issue with even what I have praised earlier, which is Governor Paulo's action of going to the police station, giving the policemen that caught the kidnappers money, making declarations. You know, I have to praise it because the bar is very low. But that is not exactly his job. He is supposed to be the one that puts the person in charge that does that. I don't know if we get it. So you're supposed to make things happen, not micromanage things. So what can you do from the center that will lead to all of these things taking shape at the same time? Put the right people in the positions. Then everybody starts budging with their own headache. If you have the right NSA, you will be working day and night for security. If you have the right person, innovative thinker for power, you will be working towards it. Then what you do is that you coordinate those people. No, this is more of an administrative issue than like a legislative issue. So this is like an executive function you're asking me about. But the position I'm running for is Senate, so it's actually legislation, you know. But however, if I will give you my 2 cents on leadership in Nigeria, is that if the leader is not doing something by himself, the thing does not work. That's not leadership. Vuse Tambakwano said that if you cannot have a business that you are running and you go on vacation for 3 months, that you are not really an entrepreneur, that you are just self-employed. So you are working for somebody, just that the person is you. Do you get? So we want systems that function. In the US, if there is crime somewhere, they don't blame the president at all. Zero. Because you have multiple layers of leadership and they are all functioning. You understand? So make the system work. That is what I keep saying. Not you running somewhere. Not you putting 10 million on a, you could have paid the 10 million as ransom now. But the only good thing is that those guys should have kidnapped again, which is a bad thing. But you rather paid it to the police, got the kidnapper. That's why we still praise the governor. But then it was micromanaging. He was doing it by himself. The police is supposed to be empowered to be so effective that by themselves, high profile or low profile, they will catch that kidnapper. Or the chances of catching that kidnapper will be high. So that is where we should go to. Set the ball rolling. That is the language. So we have talked about a lot of things. Everything we have talked about resolves around we have to change everything. You cannot, there's a famous quote, you can't do something the same way and expect a different result. You have to change everything. So if you are saying that's so that they do, like, you are so wrong. That's so that they do. That is why we're there as we did now. We have to try something different. And why are we so afraid to try something different? You cannot go and vote for the number. Look, I am even the guy that is not so much against. I'm not irrationally irritable. For example, I can have a conversation about Tinubu and tell you where he did well. I'm even that guy. Though I also know where he did not do well. And I think, in my opinion, there are more. But I can also tell you, unlike a average anti-Tinubu person, I can also tell you what he did well and argue it passionately with you. But I'm still that guy that knows that whether he's even doing well, he should go. If you want Nigeria to change drastically, you can't have the same system, the same people on the same system, and expect change. It's not working. This is why she already don't join the ADC. You know? Even Showore as my party leader, it's not everything I agree with him. But this is why he did not join the ADC. Because he felt these were the same people. David Mark was one of the people that stood against MK Abiola. Nigerians, I don't understand. David Mark is now leading a party, and you are now suddenly thinking that that party is the solution to Nigeria's problem. How does that work? The NDC now, Seriki Dixon, average normal politician, was a governor. I don't know if he was an understanding governor. You know, was a governor, retired into the Senate as usual, forms a party. Suddenly that party is going to change Nigeria. Where is this delusion coming from? But I've even had it better. When the APC came, the APC was made of people like Nasir El-Rufai, that was seen as an industrialist, as a technocrat. Adam Soshomole, that was a labor leader, an activist, senior activist at the time. It was made of people that were, this Tinubu we are talking about, for God's sake, Tinubu was in Nadeco. What it is to be Nadeco? You were fighting the military government. It was even a better deal. APC was a better coalition. Now you just bring everybody. Malami, this one, that one. You just bring everybody into ADC and say that, oh, no, this is the Messiah. The delusion is on another level. The delusion is on steroids. We need to leave these people alone. We need to start afresh. This is the argument. If at all you are not starting afresh by removing all of them, bullshitting all of them, I don't know if I could use that language, you should at least start afresh as to what you are demanding. What do you want? What do you want? I will bring the dividends of democracy to represent the people of these are rhetorics. These are empty talks. Tell them to tell you what they will do in specific, clear terms, so that at least when they don't do them, you will know they did not do them. My name is S. Ogene Okojikiri. I'm running for Senate, Edo South Senatorial District under the AAC African Action Congress. So vote for AAC, vote for me. Don't be bothered about, there's this talk about, are you going to win? Are you going to win? Be part of the people that will make us win. And it's winnable. Look, there's no contest. There's no contest if we realize the fact that it is policies, ideas, bills, strategy, system that needs to be looked at. Not EPA, not a WEPA. This is my EPA son. Not those kind of stuff. Oh, this person is old in politics. Yes, now them spoil Nigeria. You don't know. Why do you want the same people to come back? You know, you can't say Nigeria is in a bad shape, and then you are hunting for people that have been there to always come back. Tell them, what did they do before? What effect did they make? So let's change the system. Vote AAC, get something new. That's what we are showing you.